Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hearty good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depends on where you're calling from, I guess. Thanks for joining us today. Unified messaging is really, at least in the lexicon, almost become a generic term, where it's something that everybody can do, and there's really no difference, and so it really doesn't make a difference long term what solution you choose. We're going to dig into that a little bit today and see if maybe there are some differences between the offerings that you may be taking a look at, and how the CX systems, the technology from AVST, can fit the needs that you have, not only today, but also smoothly meet them for tomorrow's needs and evolving architecture. So first going to introduce ourselves for just a second, then really taking a look at the options that are available from AVST and take a little more in-depth look at the unified messaging options available today and what we provide you from AVST to meet your unified messaging goals. And then take a look at as people are evaluating the technology that's out there, as we've looked at and talked to many businesses and customers throughout the years, we've really kind of consolidated the things to kind of a checklist of really 5 considerations that need to be looked at, among other things, but these are really kind of the top 5 things that you need to take a look at as you're evaluating the next step into unified messaging and down the road of unified communications. There's a chat window in the meeting pane on the right-hand side of your screen there. Feel free to, as we go through this, enter questions into that chat window, and we'll do some question and answer at the end based on the submitted questions through the chat window. So AVST, we're not a household name necessarily, but we are really one of the most experienced developers of unified messaging, unified communications technology. We had our start back in 1982, so for more than 3 decades, we've really been a leader in this the development of this technology. You can see many of the other advances and mergers and really corporate development that we've seen over the past 30 years, and how we've really acquired some of the technology that really feeds into the product that you see today. So as you start evaluating this technology, you really want to take a close look at what you're bringing to your users. Many of the consulting firms out there, Gartner, Frost & Sullivan, Confusion, many of those leading evaluators of the technology say that this marketplace we're currently in, nobody really has a best-of-breed solution that meets all the needs that you have. And for the foreseeable future, we're really looking at a best-of-breed approach as being the best way to go as you're bringing in new unified communication technologies. So interoperability is really key to that best-of-breed approach, to give your users the most functional systems that are out there for the various areas of unified communications, but also making sure that those different technologies can talk to each other and communicate with each other to allow the full suite of unified communications applications to be brought to your users. And it doesn't look like a hodgepodge of different technologies. It really looks like a unified solution, even though you're using technologies from multiple vendors. As people evaluate us, we'll look at that here in a second. We're really leading the industry in interoperability and our ability to talk to the other components of unified communications to bring a seamless solution to your users. We have lots of ways to deploy the system, both from an architectural and how we integrate to your PBX environment, but also how you want to deploy it, the unified messaging portion of that. Really allows you to deploy the solution at your own pace. There's no one-size-fits-all within the CX solutions and the solutions from AVST. You really can mix and match things to allow you to meet any deployment pacing that you have within your specific organization. Information Week late last year did a survey. They've done this for the last couple of years, really asking as Unified Communications. Unified Communications isn't a product that you can go out and buy in a box and bring it back and install it in your environment. It's really a number of different technologies, whether it's collaboration, instant messaging, call center, unified messaging, which we're talking about today, presence applications, availability, finding out where the person is and delivering the information they need based on where they are, and integrating with other back-end applications. As you can see, unified messaging is leading. Unified messaging and collaboration are leading by a wide margin as to the leading drivers for deploying unified communications technologies. And as a matter of fact, the AVST solution not only delivers unified messaging, but also delivers portions of or all of many of the rest of these technologies that you see here. Some of them we don't deliver call center products, things like that, but for the niche of the technology that we address with the CX platform, we meet many of these requirements that are driving the moves to unified communications, with unified messaging far and away being the biggest one that is present today. And as you can see, Confusion in their evaluation of the technology, and you would see this from other evaluators and reviewers of the technology, that AVST has the most complete solution available out there. Even a more complete solution than you'd find from the big names that are out there, Cisco, Avaya, Microsoft, Siemens, NEC. We really beat them all in the completeness of the solution within the technology that we deliver, and our interoperability, our ability to come into a Cisco environment, come into a Microsoft or an Avaya environment, and be able to integrate into those in a seamless manner. Gartner also makes a comment that in the evaluation of unified messaging, that we really provide the best-of-breed solution for our customers. And that's evaluating against, really all of the rest of the people that are offering unified messaging. Gartner looks at us as providing the best of breed for your needs. And we're going to dig into that here in just a little bit to tell you what differentiates the AVST solution from the rest of the marketplace. The platform itself, the CXE Enterprise Solution, there's also a CXS for smaller organizations or branch offices, things like that. Both solutions, the CXE and the CXS, are built on these four main piers within the system. Interoperability really providing the foundation of the architecture of the system, our ability to provide connection to and integration with whatever telephony environment you have, whether you have one type of PBX, you have Avaya CM everywhere, or whether you have a mix of current PBXs and legacy PBXs. We can find that we can meet that need and provide that interoperability between all those various technologies that are out there. We have one customer that has a single call express. They actually have two call express systems, each one of them simultaneously integrating with about 40 or 50 different PBXs out there. So regardless of what your telephony environment looks like, what your email environment looks like, do you have one email server? Is it premise-based? Is it cloud-based? Do you have multiple email servers? We were talking with a university not too long ago that had over 150 email servers on their campus. And we were really the only solution that they were looking at that could provide full unified messaging to all of those from a single CX system. The voicemail, call processing, the basic applications, we've been doing that for more than 30 years and really have the broadest feature set available there. We can speech enable our auto attendants and even our voicemail sessions with the system very easily with a licensing component that really allows you to specifically use it for the applications that you want to use. Mobility applications, of which unified messaging is a part, but also other mobile applications, a mobile client for smartphones, speech interface, single number reach, cell number protection, all of those, along with availability processing to get the call connected to you wherever you happen to be and give you the tools to process that in the way that's appropriate for you. And our ability to integrate into other, to provide custom integrations to other back-end business processes and data environments. So whether you are using our fixed applications and the interoperability that those provide, or maybe you have something that's totally unique to you and you want to be able to provide a communication, a speech or communication front end for that, we can do that as well by our integration into the business processes that you have that are custom designed just for your specific needs, whether it's information access and delivery, click-to-call applications, outbound notification, or really whatever type of application you need within your environment that's unique to you. Oftentimes we can meet those with a single CX platform. You don't have the nice thing about the platform itself is many competitors require you to buy multiple systems to provide mobility and another system to provide voice and speech auto attendant and things like that, and another system to provide integration into other custom applications into back-end business processes. You can do that all on a single CX system, meeting all of your needs in this one package here. So starting to talk about unified messaging, as we mentioned, it's really been seen as a best-of-breed solution by many UC analysts, supporting whatever your environment looks like today. Maybe you have multiple email servers, single email server, cloud. You're migrating to the cloud. You need access from multiple devices, whether it's your email client, a web interface from your mobile devices, as you see here. All of those are encompassed in the solution that we provide. The way that we deliver it and have the ability, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, is very unique and something that you won't find in other competitive solutions. Email interoperability, we've talked a little bit about this before, but regardless of what type of email platform you're using today, or if you're like that university, maybe don't have 150 different email platforms, but you have a number of them within your environment, we can simultaneously integrate to whatever you have from a single CX platform. So maybe you have been running Novell GroupWise, and you really want to start migrating to the cloud, to either Gmail, Office 365, other cloud-based solutions. We're unique in our ability to span both of those simultaneously. So you can still keep, as it's a progression from one environment to the other, and you're moving users on a weekly basis, you can still keep the users that are GroupWise on that, and people that are on Gmail, it's a simple change in their mailbox to make that happen. You're migrating from a premise-based exchange to the cloud-based Office 365. The way that is changed within the system is very quick and easy. I'm going to pull up here the administration client of the CX platform, and within here, if we open up a user's mailbox here, we can go over to the email tab where the where the unified messaging applications are. And right now, he is set up to have his messages placed on an Exchange 2007 server. If we are going to migrate him to another email server that you're migrating to, maybe you're going to Gmail or Office 365, you simply make that selection here, fill in the appropriate information down here based on what that environment requires, and you're done. He has now been migrated from Exchange 2007, at least as far as the unified messaging attributes of the CX platform. Obviously, you got to migrate his mailbox from one to the other, but as far as the unified messaging, we make that change very quickly. Just here, fill in the appropriate user information down here, and you're ready to go. So very quick and easy to do within the Call Express administration. You can do it for one user at a time, like I was doing, or you can create a data file for 500 users and import that data file into here and make that change for all 500 users within a couple of minutes. So as we talk about unified messaging, the first thing that pops into most people's minds is you have an email client that used to have just email messages on it, but now there's voice messages mixed in there. And that certainly is one way to deliver unified messaging, but it's only one way. And we've been delivering unified messaging solutions since 1992, which is longer than most of our competitors have been delivering, have even had their newest products on the marketplace. And what we have found is there is no one golden bullet to how you deliver unified messaging to your users. Industry by industry can be different. Companies within the same industry can be different. Do you want your messages all stored on the email server? Well, that may be a great way to do it, but there may be some regulatory requirements that you have to meet that would preclude you from having discoverability of messages, the archiving of messages. All of that may make you think twice about putting all your messages for certain groups of users or for all of your users, putting their messages onto the Exchange server. The nice thing about this is and we'll talk about these different architectures here in just a second, but these can be all used simultaneously on the same system. So some users can be set up for moving the message over to Exchange or whatever your email platform is. Others can be set up for dual store where you don't move anything up to the email server. And you can mix and match by user, and it's very easy to change from the user from one method to the other. So let's take a look at these different architectures, what they give, the pluses and minuses of each of these architectures, because there's no one way that's best for everybody. So server-based unified messaging, this is sometimes called true unified messaging, although we tend not to use that term as much because all of these methods provide true unified messaging based on the requirements of your organization. But what server-based unified messaging does is it provides a single store for all of your message. So as your messages are received here by the CX server, instead of remaining on the CX server for storage, ongoing storage, those messages are moved for users programmed that way over to the email server. And the messages don't reside over here on the CX server anymore. They reside on the email server. Now, this is easily the most robust way to deliver unified messaging because you're kind of piggybacking on top of all the capabilities and functions of the email server, whether it's Gmail and all the other applications available within the Google environment, or whether it's Exchange or Lotus or whatever. You piggyback on top of all those capabilities. So you have the messages automatically appearing within the email client. If you in Exchange, your messages will automatically appear in Outlook Web Access. If you have a smartphone that's synchronized with the email server, your voice messages are automatically synced to that mobile device as well. But obviously this has a little more impact on the environment, a little more network traffic going on here than other methods, because messages are moved back and forth depending on how they're accessed. You've got storage considerations on the email server itself. We talked a little bit about the regulatory requirements, discoverability, things like that may significantly impact be impacted by moving the message over to the email server itself, whereas dual store might allow you to bypass some of those regulatory issues, compliance issues, discoverability issues, things like that. This is just an illustration of that. If you have a fax server, the CX server here, and the messages are moved all down to the email server so that all of your messages appear in a single inbox, together with your email messages. We have a custom player that is easily used within the system to allow you to play back the messages with easy controls here. You can have the message played back over your PC speakers or over your telephone, so that when you click this play button, your telephone rings. You pick it up and it's playing back there, which is great for confidentiality of the messages. A lot of people may not want their messages broadcast out to everybody who wants to listen to them. So the very elegant way to do it, and this is true whether it's a premise-based email server or a cloud-based email server. The architecture is the same and provides the same type of access to those messages. The second method to deploy unified messaging really has no impact whatsoever on the email server. Messages are not moved from the CX server to the email. Whoa, sorry, kind of went crazy there for a second. They're never moved over from the voice from the CX server over to the email server. Email server doesn't even know you're doing unified messaging. What you do is within your email client, you set up another mailbox. And the CX server becomes a scaled-down, purpose-built IMAP mail server. It's not designed to be an IMAP email server. It's designed strictly for our purposes to allow you to access those messages within your email client. The only real difference between, from the user standpoint, between the server base, where all the messages appear in your standard inbox, and client-based, is that your voice messages appear in a separate inbox. So as opposed to everything being in one inbox, you have a separate inbox in your email client to be able to get to those messages. But obviously it's a much, much smaller impact on the environment, lower network traffic. The email, there's no impact on the email server at all because you're not ever moving any messages over to there. So it's a nice way to do it, and it avoids some of the concerns that some people have with putting voice messages onto the email server. Secure unified messaging. This allows you to not have messages accessed within the email client. Now, within your email client, you could receive a notification email message that says, click this link to get to your messages, which will launch our web portal. But if you're using the client-based unified messaging or the server-based unified messaging, the user can always get access to that WAV file. There's the WAV file as an attachment there, and the users can always get to that. With the secure unified messaging, you can set this web portal up to allow users to gain access to those messages or not. Let me bring it up here. Here's the web portal itself right here, and you simply log into this with your mailbox number and your mailbox password. If you forgot your password, you can easily get it reset here without having to involve the system administrator. And as soon as the portal opens up, the first thing you'll see is all of your voice messages. Now, one of the options that you as the administrator have is how you're going to give the user the ability to access those messages. So if we come over here to the settings, we have 3 different methods to do it: via the telephone, streaming media, or download. So if I choose telephone, every time I hit the play button, when I hit the play button on a message, it's going to call whatever number I have right in here. This is my home office. If it's streaming media, it'll just start streaming the message to my desktop, and it'll play back over my speakers of my PC. If it does download, it'll start a download of the WAV file to your workstation, and it's a standard web download of the WAV file, just like downloading any other file from a website, and you can play it with any media player that you have. The nice thing for the administrator is they can completely disable this, either the streaming media or the download or both, so that it won't even appear on the user's screens and they won't have an opportunity to get a copy of that message. And if you want to forward one of these messages, the only directory that you have is an internal directory. You don't have the ability to ever send this message external to the organization. And we found many organizations where that's a very desirable thing. Primarily in medical, oftentimes in financial institutions, and other organizations that may have people that really need their messages to remain private and not distributed externally to the organization. And the secure unified messaging provides that capability to you to set that up and give users full desktop access to their mailbox no matter where they are. They can just log on with the web browser and you're ready to go. And then simplified unified messaging. This is really not full unified messaging here. It's really taking the original copy of the message stays on the CX server. A copy of the message is sent out via an SMTP mail delivery to any email server or maybe to smartphones, things like that. A lot of people use this to kind of triage their messages, where we send a copy of the message out maybe to their smartphone. It appears within their messages there, and they can just they can play the WAV file from there and see if it's something they need. Otherwise, if it's coming from somebody that they know that they can maybe put off, what they're doing is more important than the information there, they can just leave it, and when they get back to the office, they can access it directly within the CX platform. So it's these four different ways of doing unified messaging really allow you to set up the the security and the environmental requirements that you have as an organization. And again, each one of these methods, which one is used, is assigned on a user-by-user basis. So you can mix and match these in any way that you want to meet the needs of your specific organization. And we're really one of the only systems around that provides this level of flexibility to your organization in order to provide unified messaging solutions to your users. So for example, if I open up the administration client again and I go to our friend Jim Blake, right now he is set up for server-based unified messaging. The messages are moved to the email server. It's external to the CX platform. If we want to change him to client-based or maybe secure UM, we just click that. He uses the same UM license. There wasn't a deduction in the license or a change of that. But notice the message storage is local, which means the messages are stored on the CX server itself, not moved over to the email server. So it's really just that simple to change from one method of unified messaging to the other. And again, if you need to change 500 people, you simply create a CSV file, CSV data file with that information, those users specifically, import it in, and you're ready to go. So as you evaluate your unified messaging deployments, as we've talked to organizations over the last close to 2 decades, we've really come to understand that there's a number of things to understand, such as the different architectures, things like that. But it really boils down to these five items, the 5 C's we call them. Marketing department has to have something to do, so they figure out words to describe these that all begin with the same letter. But the ability to you really need to take a look closely at these 5 things and the technology that you're deploying. For example, what are the legal requirements that you have, the regulatory requirements, and how does the solution that you are getting ready to deploy, how do they meet those legal requirements? As you saw with the different architectural deployment options you have with the CX platform, regardless of what your legal requirements are, you can choose an architecture, whether that applies for select users or for all your users. You can select a deployment architecture that can meet those requirements for you. Confidentiality, as it says here, in many cases, this is as important as the compliance. The ability for an organization to make sure that their messages are secure within the organization. And as you saw, again, we have the ability to allow you to provide the confidentiality that you require, and giving select users or all of your users the ability to share voice messages with whoever they need to, and you can mix and match those based on individual user needs or the corporate requirements as well. The flexibility of the architecture is really something that needs to be closely considered, because we all know that our needs today and our environment today is going to look could look a good deal different next year, 2 years from now, 4 years from now. With the way technology is evolving, you have to have a system that can adapt to that changing environmental technology right along with you. And the CX platform, whether it's PBX integration, email moving from premise to cloud, or changing from one email provider to another, we're unmatched in our ability to provide that level of flexibility and that level of future-proofing, so that as your environment changes, you can easily adapt the CX platform to those changes. Capacity. What is the load on your email server? Are you running Exchange 2007 today, and your email has just really started increasing over the last X number of years, and you find that your email servers are running close to capacity, and you really don't want to induce another message type on it. Or maybe you just deployed Exchange 2010, and you've got storage up the yin-yang, but because of compliance or confidentiality, you don't want to put voice messages over there, or you want to put them over there. Whatever it is, taking a look at the capacity of where these messages are going to be stored is a very important consideration. The voice messages are not, they're not huge files, but they are files that have to be considered in your overall environmental setup there. And the cost of the system. We have many of our competitors that say, well, the cost of it is free. You don't have to pay for it all. It's all included in what you have right now. You have to be very careful about that, because often there can be there can be ongoing software maintenance charges, user licensing charges going on into the future that can be very expensive to continue paying each year. So you have to look beyond the initial cost of the system to the total cost of ownership, so that you're not making a decision just for today. The decision you're making today really is one that you're looking to make last for many years to come. And the CX platform, as we've discussed here, really gives you that level of flexibility to provide low cost at the beginning, along with low cost for ongoing software maintenance, which is really what you need to look at when you're evaluating the cost, is the long-term cost of it over the next 3, 4, 5 years, whatever your projections show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate it, and hope that you got some good things to think about as you're evaluating your unified messaging direction.